am glad to see you today. Some of you I already know. Some of you I will get to know soon. I'm glad that you managed to spare this time, because it will be great if you could really make an effort to prepare the child for entering the toddler community, because for the children, this will be the first time to go somewhere out of the family without parents, and they will have to trust new people. And there are just some tips that could make it easier for them, and also for you as parents. So first, I would like to introduce to you our routine. I think by now you already are familiar with our routine. The most important thing for the toddlers is somehow to manage to comply the routine at home with the routine in the group, so the children can actually feel that this is a similar environment to the home environment, and this will make them feel safe, and they will trust better this new environment. In the morning, they come outside, they play outside for an hour, then we go inside, they have a snack, they prepare their snack, eat, and then they have the uninterrupted working cycle. After that, they have lunch, they have a nap, and then they go home. Every day we have the same routine, and having the same routine every day gives them security. They know what to expect, and they are not anxious. They are not wondering what will come next. When they are secure with that, they can actually really feel good. The two most important aspects of our routine is eating and sleeping. That is very important to be at the same time at home, because if the child is used to sleep at different time, then he or she will not be sleepy when our sleeping time comes, and this will make him anxious. It will disturb, and it will be hard for the child to fall asleep or to keep awake. And the children in the toddler community sleep only once during the day, between 12:30 and 2:30. So they have 2 hours. Of course, some children need more sleep, some children need less sleep. Some of them fall asleep immediately. Some of them take more time, and they are allowed to keep their sleeping patterns as long as they don't interfere with the others. Because the most important thing is to understand that they are now in a group, so they will have to respect also the others' need to have rest. They have a cozy, semi-dark space for sleeping. They sleep on mattresses on the floor. Everybody has their bed. They're not changing. They're not moving. So they learn where their place is, and they just can have a book, or if they don't want, they don't need to have a book. They can have a stuffed animal from home. They just lie down and take their time to fall asleep. The eating routine is also important, because if the child has different time for eating, then he might get hungry earlier or later when there is no food. So our snack is around 9:30, and the lunch is around 11:30, and it is like this every day. So the children know what follows, as I said, so they have consistent routine. In the toddler community, children eat by themselves. So it is, if your child is not used to eating by himself or herself, it is a great time to start training that. They can start with snack and later move to in the group, they eat with cutlery. First, of course, it is of course complied with their age. At first, they start with eating with a spoon. Then after that, when their fine motor skills are more developed, they start using fork and knife. We always share a table for lunch, and there is always an adult sitting with the children, modeling behavior and manners at the table. And it is important to set the rules also at home and to accept the child at the table. So the child can also share the table with the whole family and feel a part of it, just like he will feel a part of the group in the toddler community, because we all sit together for lunch, we sing a song, and then we start serving. Everybody serves food for themselves. Everybody is allowed to eat as much as they want, and they're allowed to have seconds as much as they want. And we are having just peaceful and normal lunch. The most important rule actually is that we sit when we eat, and we don't allow children to just run around with food. For some children, this is difficult in the beginning because they are not used to sitting at the table. So it would be really great if you accept the child at the table and set some rules that are acceptable for your family and go with them every time. The children will prepare their snack. They do it by themselves, which includes a lot of skills like spreading, cutting, pouring, and these are skills that they will master and they will be able to do it by themselves. And it would be great if they're allowed to do it at home too. In the pictures, you can see possible ways for children to eat. They can have a small table in the dining room where the family eats and sit on a small chair, or they can have a high chair, but it would be great if the high chair doesn't have a table in front, so the child can actually be a part of the big table. And when the good size for a chair is when the child is sitting, the knees should be at an angle of 90 degrees and the feet should be flat on the floor. This is the most comfortable position, and the child can actually go in and out of the table, because when they're finished, they don't need to sit at the table anymore. But still, while they're eating, they need to remain at the table. But they have control over this. They're not waiting for an adult to put them in a chair, and they don't need to scream for an adult to take them out of the chair, but they can do this by themselves. And this makes them feel more comfortable and in control of the situation every time. Let's talk about nursing. First of all, if you're still nursing your child, it is good to think about the reasons if you're still nursing, and if the nursing is just a part of the bedtime ritual, it would be better to if you still feel the need to nurse your child or to give them breast milk, it's better to do it in another time, because if it becomes part of the sleeping ritual, then it makes it harder for the child to fall asleep somewhere else and with somebody else. The child remains attached to the mother, and this makes the gaining independence very hard. And this would also cause problems for sleeping in the toddler community, because the child will be expecting for somebody to nurse him to sleep, which of course cannot happen. But still, of course, the child can have milk before sleep. If you feel the need to do it, you can do this by offering milk in a glass, for example, but just not use the nursing as a sleeping association, because sleeping is actually a skill that the child needs to acquire, and it should be substituted by another sleeping association. If the child is still using a dummy, it would be a great time to stop it, because it is quite acceptable to use a dummy when the baby is small for newborn, as long as it is for satisfaction of the sucking reflex. But the sucking reflex actually fades away at about 3 months of age. And as every reflex, it is very important for the development of the baby, but later it becomes integrated as voluntary movement. And if sucking the dummy becomes integrated as a voluntary movement, it creates dependency, which is then hard to overcome. They become attached to the dummy, and it's very hard for them to calm down. Without it, they learn that this is something that makes them calm, and they need to understand that there are many other ways to calm down, and they don't need it. There are many ways to lose a dummy, and if you need it, we can of course discuss it. But children in the toddler community are not accepted with dummies. They need to lose them before they come, or they will just find it hard. If they're having a dummy, for example, as a sleeping association, it is the same as nursing, that they will not be allowed to have it. This will cause frustration for them. It will be hard to fall asleep, and it will be hard to remain calm. Sleeping, as I told you, they have a sleeping space. It is on the upper level in our classroom, and it is a very nice and calm space there. We have clear rules that we don't make noise there. We are calm and quiet. Children need to allow others to sleep, and of course nobody needs to sleep, but toddlers really have the necessity, because they get tired, they need to replenish their energy, and even when they don't want to sleep, they actually need it, because after that they become cranky in the afternoon and they have hard time keeping up until the evening. So the sleeping time should be complied with the sleeping time in the group, so that it will be much easier for the child, and it will be not overwhelming for the child to manage to follow the routine. It would be great if the child's space at home is similar to the one in the toddler community, but that cannot always happen, of course, because different families have different homes, and some children have their own rooms and don't. And just if the child is using a floor bed, for example, it makes it easier for the child to remain in control of the situation. Like, he can go to sleep wherever he wants, and he can wake up and go out of bed. Doesn't need to cry for somebody to take him out of the crib, for example. In our group, they usually go change their clothes and then lie down, have a book. As you can see in the picture, sometimes they have stuffed toys, but they don't have to. If they don't use toys at home, they don't need to bring a toy just for the group. It is good if the sleeping rituals are somehow similar at home, and they can have pajamas from home that they know that is for sleeping, and anything that can actually create the feeling for rest, for the time to have rest. Gross motor skills are the movements that develop the large muscles of the body. This includes running, jumping, climbing. They are very important because the gross motor skills become the base for developing the fine motor skills, because only when a child is able to sit upright, which is developing, the big muscles of the body. Only then can the child hold a pen to write or a brush to paint, and this on its turn becomes the base for developing academic knowledge. There are so many ways to develop the gross motor skills, and it will depend, of course, on the child's age, because for a very small child, for around 1 year, now the child has just learned to walk, and it's not realistic to expect, for example, to start to jump. So walking is a very good exercise for this child, walking on even terrain, walking on uneven terrain, then running, then at some point he will start jumping, playing with the ball, all kinds of sports like tossing the ball, kicking the ball, even walking backwards. It all comes with age and with development, and the child needs to be given the opportunity to develop. When a toddler learns to walk, it means that he doesn't need anymore to be carried or to be pushed in stroller, and the greatest thing is to allow him to walk, to go for long walks, because toddlers are actually pretty capable of walking long distance. But the challenge is that a toddler will not walk from point A to point B like an adult would, but he will stop, he will observe a ladybird, for example, or look at a flower, collect stones or chestnuts, and it will take 2 to 3 times longer to reach from point A to point B with a toddler than it would take without a toddler. And of course, they're still small, and they need an adult to help them to develop their skills. They will need somebody else to play with them, to toss the ball, for example, or to kick the ball, or to show them how to move, to play games with them. Everything that happens outside is developing their gross motor skills. They need to see a lot of playgrounds and also have the model of older children moving. That would be great. Usually, younger siblings develop their skills much faster than the first child, because they just see the model and they repeat. Independence is goal number 1 for us, for toddlers. This is one of the most common quotes of Maria Montessori: help me to do it by myself. And independence actually has 2 aspects for a toddler, and one of them is self-care, and the other one is care for the environment. We already talked about food and eating. Getting dressed is extremely important for toddlers. This is one of the biggest skills that they have to acquire, and they are perfectly capable to do it. They can spend the whole day getting dressed and undressed sometimes because they get wet a lot and they need to change their clothes. But with practice, they develop their skills. I would like to talk now for care for the environment, because in the toddler community, the environment is entrusted to the children, and they work all day on maintaining this environment clean and tidy. And they don't do it only for themselves. They learn that they're doing it also for others, because they would, for example, they would mop the floor because it's wet and somebody might slip and fall down. They will push their chair under the table because otherwise another child might not be able to go through. Or they will clean up their space, their working space, to prepare it for another child to work there. This can be supported at home if the child is engaged in chores. It could be easy and difficult at the same time. Because at home there's always something to do, something to clean, to scrub, to wipe, to dry. But it could be difficult because in the beginning the child is not capable enough. His fine motor movements and gross motor movements are not well developed, and it will take time. It will take time for the child to actually be able to clean up instead of creating more mess, which will happen in the beginning. And the parent must have incredible patience to let that child actually try to do it by themselves. Of course, they need the model. They need the parent to show them how to do it, but then to let them do it by themselves. Clothes are, of course, important, and getting dressed and undressed is a long process to learn how to do it. There are some clothes that are easier to put on or to take off. At first, they will start taking off their clothes. They will start taking off their socks, even as babies. They will start taking off their socks, and they will try to put them on, and they will not be able to, and they will start getting angry. But this is all a normal process of the development of the child, and they just need somebody to show them and to let them have the space and time to master the skill. It means that in the morning, the child should have enough time to try by himself to put on his trousers, to put on his t-shirt, and repeat as many times as needed, because practice makes perfect. The more they practice, the better they get. And at first it will take a lot of time. It will be, the parent could get nervous. I know, I have a child. It was hard at the beginning to just let this child manage his own clothes. But actually, they could receive a lot of help if the clothes are well prepared for them. Picking up the right clothes makes it easier for the child to feel successful, because they need to feel successful. Otherwise, they will just give up, or they will just wait for somebody to put something on, because they receive the message that they are not capable enough and that they need an adult to do this for them. And this is completely not true. They are really capable. Like a child of 1.5, 2 years is able to take off for sure, and to put on trousers, also to put a t-shirt through his head. And of course, they will need help with the sleeves, for example. They will need help for the socks, because socks are difficult. But with time, they will start doing it by themselves, and it will be incredible. I would like you to see some examples of good clothes. The t-shirts should be with large opening for the head, because some children are actually find it very difficult to, when they're stuck, they start getting anxious, they start crying, screaming. If the opening is large, it makes it easier. And the envelope, actually the pictures are swapped. So the second one is a t-shirt with the envelope neck, which is actually very good because there are no buttons, but still it opens a lot. And the other one is with a stretchy neck, which could also be good. And for starting the independence with clothes, it's better to start with t-shirts with short sleeves, because this way the arm doesn't get stuck in the sleeve. And then when they master that, they can move to long sleeves, but it's better if the sleeves are loose. This way they will not get stuck, and they will not have a situation to need somebody to attend to them. It also applies for the legs. They should be loose, and in the beginning, preferably without stretchy part in the ankles, because sometimes their foot could get stuck there, and of course it will create another situation. The trousers should have elastic band on the waist, and without laces, because toddlers just cannot manage laces, and to support their independence, it's better to choose trousers with elastic waist. The zip should always be vertical and in the middle. I know that there are a lot of clothes that they're actually good clothes for toddlers, but they are not manageable by the toddlers themselves. When the zipper is asymmetrical, for example, or goes from left to right, the reason is that actually small toddlers still don't have strong preference for hand, and sometimes they might use the left hand, sometimes they might use the right hand, and having the zip somewhere on the side might actually include using the wrong hand, because you still don't know which is their preferred hand. Having it in the middle means that they can choose equally each hand, and the same goes for the buttons. Actually, buttons are difficult. They are manageable by older toddlers, but they should be very big, with big openings, and of course in the middle. And the zip should move easily, not to get stuck, and if possible, to have either to be big enough for the toddler to comfortably hold it like this, or to have some cloth part sewn on it, or just so the toddler can actually put his finger and pull it up. We talked about trousers. Socks are difficult in the beginning, but because the toes can never go in the same hole at the same time, but still, with training, they will learn how to manage it, and starting with short socks that are not too tight will make it easier for them. The shoes should also call for independence, which means that shoelaces are not preferred, and Velcro clothing can hold the leg just as firmly as laces, and the toddler can manage it by himself, and it's perfectly good. And for the classroom, the child needs to have slippers with waterproof sole, because toddlers spill a lot of water, and then if the sole is made of cloth, it will get wet, and the child will need to change, or since he will not have another pair of slippers, he will need to be only in his socks, and getting wet again, changing socks, which is just annoying for them, and it creates just distress for changing all the time. All the clothes that do not provide toddlers with independence are not to be used. It includes those onesies that close in the bottom, or the ones that you see in the second picture. Anything that is one piece is actually very difficult. It also applies for dress for girls. It is difficult to have dresses because they're difficult to put on, they're difficult to take off, and it makes it impossible for them to use the toilet by themselves. And accessories such as belts are not manageable by toddlers, and they just cannot use them. And also jewelry, they cannot take care of their jewelry, and it's mostly a distraction. So it's better to keep it for another place. In the toddler community, we have a small toilet with 2 available toddler-sized toilets and a potty. So they have a choice which one to use. If the child is using diapers, after the adaptation, we will start the process of gaining toilet independence, which would mean going from diapers to training pants at first, and then to normal underwear, of course. And the process of gaining toilet independence can be slow for some children and can be really fast for others. It will really depend on them, and we will have to follow them in this. At first, we will just look at them, we will observe the interval that they need between going to the toilet, and we will offer to the children to go to the toilet. For example, if we see that the child pees every 20 minutes, it means that 20 minutes from the last going to the toilet, we will offer it again. If an accident happens, of course, this is something completely normal. We don't react in any way. We would just tell, oh, you're wet, now we need to change. They have their change of clothes in the bathroom, so everything is easily accessible for them. They will just change their clothes and they will go back to their normal routine. When they use the toilet, we will confirm for them that they have used the toilet. We will not go into excessive praising for that, because it is just something normal to use the toilet. And summertime is a great time to lose the diaper because the weather is mostly warm. Well, this summer is different, but the weather is mostly warm. And even if the child has an accident, they can just change. And this could happen many times a day at first, but with time, they will actually get the idea that when they pee, they get wet, and they don't want to get wet. So they will start to hold it. They will start to hold it for a longer time, and just step by step, we will get there. In our routine, we have we just support going to the toilet by having fixed time for it. For children who are already toilet independent, this is more than enough, because they go to the toilet after coming from outside, then before lunch, then after lunch, and before sleeping, of course, and after sleeping. And for children who are in the process of getting toilet independence, it will be more often, and it will depend on the child. As I said, we will just observe the interval that they need. But when they see others going to the toilet, it makes it easier for them, because doing this in a group, seeing the others doing it, it just makes them realize that they're part of this group, and they will be doing the same as the others are doing. Help is, of course, never refused. We are trying to support children in their independence as much as possible, but they are still small and they will need help. Anytime they need help, they can ask for help, and help is never refused. The important thing here is to know the way how to ask for help, because we would teach them that when they cry, we don't actually know what they need, what they want from us. But if they would come to someone and ask for help, like, Maggie, help please. And then I will know that this child needs help. So I will ask, what do you need help with? And if the child can talk, he or she can tell me, I need help with my shoes. Or if they cannot talk, they will just point to the shoes and I will know. And I will ask, oh, do you need help with the shoes? Okay, let's see what we can do. And sometimes older toddlers can help younger toddlers. Help is never refused. And they need to know that they can ask anybody for help just by calling his name. Like calling the name is very important because otherwise we don't know who they're calling. And help is not help is offered, but it's not imposed. If we see that the child is in distress, we will not jump in, but we will ask. We will ask for help because sometimes toddlers just don't like others invading their private space, and we respect that. But if they accept help, then we will help for sure. This brings us to the end, but I would like to also talk a little bit about adaptation. I think you know the process of adaptation, but it is important to also talk about it with the child, that for the first day, he or she will come with mommy and daddy, play together in the yard with the others, get to know the teachers, get to know the other children, their new friends. And the second day, they will come by themselves. They really need to know this. They have to be prepared because they are not babies anymore. They understand a lot, and they need this. They need to be told what to expect. And when they are told what to expect, and when they see that it happens according to this expectation, they learn to trust. They learn to trust you, that you're going to come for them. They learn to trust us, that we are not going to take them away forever. And they are much calmer, and they get adapted much more smoothly and easily. And in about a month, it usually takes about a month for the child to feel completely comfortable in the environment, to trust the adults in the environment, to communicate with the other children. Sometimes it's faster. Some children just need a couple of days to realize that this is a safe environment for them. But sometimes it's longer. So for the process of adaptation, we will observe every child, and the adaptation will be completely individual. Thank you.